Jessica Picard.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You said that right.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So you grew up close to where I grew up.
Sure did. Same county.
Same county. And you've got a story that happened a few years back when you were a young girl.
Yes.
That happened out at Gum Swamp Lake.
Yeah.
Now, our subscribers, there's a handful of them. As soon as this episode airs, they're going to go right to the internet and try to find Gum Swamp Lake.
Right.
So I'm going to speak to that real quick because it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It's gone.
No.
But it was there because Gum Swamp Lake was 12 miles from Laurinburg, where I grew up.
Right.
In between 15501 and US 74 in a, I'm going to call it an isolated area.
Very, very isolated.
Very isolated. And it kind of still is today,
It is.
to be honest with you. And my dad took me fishing there when I was a young boy.
Same with mine. That's
Yeah,
how I know about
really?
it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we caught bass and something they called jack. We didn't keep the jack, but the bass we did.
Yeah, we got a lot of crappie and brim out there.
Nice, nice. So anyway, here's the best I can tell what happened to the lake. It's a 55-acre lake. It was built by somebody putting up a dam, a small earthen dam. I say small, it's only 12 foot high, but that was put up in 1934.
Okay.
Been a long time. So best I can tell from satellite images and so forth, it wasn't a state-run lake or anything like that, so there's not a lot of records on it. But it looks like from the satellite images that the dam either failed or just naturally eroded, or maybe it was purposely destroyed sometime between 2020 and 24.
Okay.
But prior to that, we both know there was a lake there.
There was a lake there.
There was a lake there. So what I'd like for you to do is just tell us your story.
Okay.
And if I have a question, I may ask you, but I might not.
All right. Well, like I said, born and raised in Scotland County. We moved to Marston. That's where Gum Swamp Lake is.
Right.
We moved there when I was between 11 and 12. I remember I was just going into 6th grade. So left elementary school, going into middle school, just moved, so everything was new to me. Now my dad had built us some cane poles to go fishing with. And so all summer long, we were going out to Gum Swamp Lake to go fishing.
Nice.
And, after a while of getting to know, where I was, it was all dirt roads, pine trees. It's very isolated.
Very.
We lived on a sandy dirt road. And I would ride my bike all around this
You were that close to ride your bike?
That close. Well, it was about a mile from there, but back in the early 90s, everybody rode their bikes everywhere. I mean, that was just the way it was. We didn't come back until, the street lights came on.
Yeah.
So I would go. I love to fish. I love to be outside. So I would go and ride my bike to Gum Swamp Lake with my cane pole. Well, and this is the part where I start getting goosebumps.
Take your time.
It was, more or less in the late afternoon that I went. I would say probably about 4 or 5 o'clock. And I rode my bike, had my cane pole on there, and when you pull up, it's a dirt road straight into the lake, off a Gum Swamp Lake road, straight into it. And I would always go. I had my little fishing spot because there was a little cut down pine tree, and I would use that as a stump. And then I would grab another stick or something, make a little white arrow to stick my cane pole on.
Nice.
So it was right off to the right, and I was probably there a good hour. I had a little bit of night crawlers that with me. So, and it's funny how little things you remember when you think back on this. I had a couple of night crawlers with me. Been there for about an hour. The crickets, the grasshoppers, the birds, all that was going. I mean, it was unless it's just background noise.
Right.
You hear it. You don't think about it much until you don't hear it, and that's when I knew something wasn't right. There was, like I said, the crickets, the grasshoppers, the birds, and there was a whippoorwill that was constantly singing and just doing the little whippoorwill, whippoorwill, and all of it stopped. And you get that feeling that something is right behind you or something's watching you. And being, 11, 12 years old, all right, then, I was scared because I was by myself. And to realize that all those sounds stopped was very scary. It still is, to this day. I turned to my right, there's nothing but pine trees, behind me. All you can see is just pine trees. And I don't know if they were starting to like log through there, but there was quite a few that had fallen down. When I looked, probably 30, 35 feet from me, the biggest hairy man that I have ever seen, nothing like I'd ever seen, was standing up against the pine tree. I could see, and it was almost like he had his shoulder up to the pine tree, almost like he was trying to hide and not be seen, but it was impossible for him not to be seen. I guess he thought he blended in. I say it's he. I don't know if it was a he. Didn't see anything like that. But when he was kind of like sitting there, I could see from his torso up, nothing below. It almost was kind of like he was either crouched down on his knees or kind of sitting down on his bottom.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but
Was he moving at all?
none, no movement, just very, very still. At that time, he was. And from his waist up, he had to have been. Now, mind you, being that young, I'm thinking back on this. Mm-hmm. I would estimate just from his waist up had to be every bit of 4 to 5 feet tall. Massive, massive shoulders. I mean, I could see the one that was kind of leaning up against, and the other one kind of sticking out. It looked like bowling balls.
Wow.
With only way I can describe it, it's like tree trunks coming out. The arms, they were just massive. Auburn hair, is a reddish brown, and you could see the way the light was coming in. It shimmered. A beautiful auburn brown,
Yeah.
maybe 3 inches long. He didn't say anything, didn't move, and when we locked eyes, that's what I remember the most, is black eyes. Huge, huge black eyes. And
do you think it realized that you had seen it?
Yeah.
Like maybe it was thinking it would be camouflaged by a tree or look like a tree, but
that's exactly what.
But there was a moment when you guys connected.
That's how I know it was human. You could see in that moment of those black eyes, you could tell it realized that I had seen it. I knew.
Okay.
And you saw intellect, like it knew.
Okay.
It was trying to hide. He's been seen. I'm sorry, I need something to drink. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll take a break and.
Yeah, take a break.
Oh, you got something there? Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Great. Take your time.
Okay. Yep. Okay. When we locked eyes,
Yeah.
and I saw that the eyes were huge, huge black eyes, and that I just focused on that one thing, his eyes. That's what stood out the most. I'll tell you, I'll give you the facial features that I can tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what he did.
Awesome.
Okay. I've heard a lot of people, describe these things, and it was not like a cone head, just a round, normal shaped head. Again, these huge, huge black eyes. The nose was, it didn't protrude like a baboon's or a dog or anything. It was very, very human-like.
Okay.
Kind of pushed in.
Okay.
It had about 3 inches of hair. The skin was almost like a grayish wash, more on the dark side of gray.
Okay.
Kind of leathery, darkish, whitish gray, leathery skin, but it just not much hair. Cheeks were completely. There was no hair on the cheeks.
So this is where it was dark gray.
Yeah,
in here.
where you could see right
Okay.
there. Couldn't see the hands. The hands were like down. So I can only tell you from the chest up. And it was covered in hair. The neck was completely covered. It was almost like his head was sitting on, you just couldn't see. If there was a neck, you couldn't see it. It was like a lion's mane all the way around. So and this all happened I would probably say in a matter of 45 seconds, a minute at the very most. Very quick encounter. But what he did next, he or she, I'm not sure, he did a lip flip. And it was almost like he was...
Explain that to us.
So it's almost like, like a horse or an animal, like sniffing the air, but his lip flipped, and he would just flip just like that.
Okay.
And nostrils would kind of flare.
Okay.
You can see it at the same time.
Any sound when he did that?
Nothing.
No sound.
No sound.
Okay.
No sound. The sound, and this is where I get, the sound that he made was in my head. He made no sound at all. No grunting, no snorting, no sniffing that you would think an animal that is, either on the defense or trying to scare or something. Nothing. It took a lot of years of trying to figure out what I had seen. And from what I can determine is something called mind speak.
Would you explain that for us?
Sure will. So when I heard the voice in my head that was not my own voice. That's the only way I can describe that.
That's a great way to describe it.
It was not my voice,
Yeah.
not my thoughts. When he or it said it, he basically said, I'm not the only one, others are here. And I knew in that moment, I need to go. But if anybody's ever experienced something like sleep paralysis, or you just, I think I was just scared stiff, to be honest. I think I was so scared I couldn't move. Like, that came into my head. I'm staring. I could not take my eyes off of him. I couldn't. It's just like I was paralyzed. My mind and my body was paralyzed.
You don't know if he's going to chase you. You don't know.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen.
You've got no reference for this event.
No,
Right.
because I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, once or twice been to the zoo and then seen, but that's it. But it looked very much human and like a gorilla, a monkey
ape.
man,
Yeah.
an ape, something.
Wow.
It was more human than it was not human. But the mind speak is when I completely froze. And I'll be honest, I wet myself. It was that scary when that happened. And then it was like everything just came back. I could move. I could think my own thoughts. And I dropped my cane pole. I left my bicycle, everything, and I ran straight home.
You ran.
I ran straight home. Yep, crying the whole time. I run into the house. I yell for my mom and dad. I'm sitting there. I've already, wet myself. I'm crying. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I ran. I'm out of breath. And I try to tell them there's a big hairy man in the woods at the lake. There's a big hairy gorilla man.
Right.
And they laughed at me and told me, I'm crazy, that there's nothing like that out there. They just totally didn't believe me. And I don't think I slept for probably about 3 days after that.
Wow.
And I wouldn't even sleep in my room. I slept in the living room, on the sofa.
In the common area.
Yeah, in a common area.
Yeah.
I didn't go back the whole time we lived there. I didn't go back. I didn't go back fishing. I didn't go back in the woods. It took away that little part of my childhood, what I loved, because I didn't know what I had seen. And
Jessica, how many people have you told this story to?
2. And
2 people.
Yeah, you being the 3rd. Yep.
What made you finally decide to come forward?
I think now what I'm hearing, a lot of people have had a lot of experiences and a lot of encounters, and
They won't talk about
they
it.
won't talk about it.
Right.
And, just because you've seen something you can't explain or something that somebody else has not seen doesn't mean it didn't happen.
That's exactly right.
And people need to know.
You see something that changed your life, but
Yeah.
you can't get anybody to corroborate with you.
No,
And
no.
so you shut up about it.
Exactly.
We hear that all the time.
And, being in the area that I was, and it is so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who are you going to tell? Who's
Right.
going to listen? Being 12 years old, your mind is just, you're making up stories.
Yeah.
You want attention. That's what I was told. You're saying this, and no, I just wanted somebody to believe me. So I didn't have anybody to tell as a child.
Well, you stopped going to the most favorite thing you enjoyed
I
doing.
did. Yep.
That's
I did.
pretty significant.
Yeah. It wasn't until, just a few years ago, I would actually start going back in the woods by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changed my life for a lot
Well,
of
it's
reasons.
interesting. You know, we may have somebody. I mean, it's not population dense still down there.
Right.
It's very isolated. But you came to us, and I grew up 12 miles from there,
know.
and I went fishing there. So somebody, you just don't know. Somebody may come out of the woodwork, or they may have seen something while out there fishing on the lake or in those woods around there.
I
Maybe
hope
somebody
so.
can in the comments tell us what happened to the lake. Did,
Yeah.
did they destroy the dam on purpose, or what happened
I was
there? So
surprised when I look back that it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, because it was a substantial lake.
it was
you know.
55 acres. It's just a
Exactly.
little creek running
Right.
through there now. So.
Right. So,
Wow.
but I do believe that there was a family of them. For when that said in my head that, you know, when I'm not alone, you know, there's others are here.
Yeah.
That leads me to believe that there's a family or a colony or whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
out there
Hang
at
on.
that time.
I wonder what he was trying to say.
I don't know.
Others like him, or others
Others.
that are dangerous. You know.
That's if I had to guess, because that's what I'm doing is just guessing.
Yeah.
I think that it was more of a protection. I really think that it had seen me out there before, that it has watched me come out. I would go every day.
Okay.
And I think it was trying to protect me from maybe ones that are not so nice, or something out there that I needed protection from. And I can't explain or know what that was, but it was not mean. It was not aggressive. It told me to leave, and that's exactly what
And
I
it
did.
was clear. And
It was very clear.
maybe it was a good idea not to go back there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Anything else you can remember?
yes. So it was, I think probably maybe a week to 2 weeks, maybe not 2 weeks. It was very, very recent after that encounter.
Yeah.
My neighbors, so we live, like I said, on a dirt road, Doe Run. The neighbors beside us, there's a little, you know, maybe quarter acre of trees between me and the neighbors there. The neighbor had a dog, and he was, you know, American Indian. Not that, you know, it matters, but his dog was named Dakota.
Okay.
And my dad and Dakota did not get along. I don't know why, but they just did not get along. The neighbor came over and asked my dad very, very, you know, angrily, if he came out and destroyed the dog's pen and let his dog out because he couldn't find his dog.
Okay.
Well, we all went over there. The dog fence, you know, the metal fences, you know, some, you know, like 10 foot by 10 foot.
Like
some,
the pre-made cages.
yes,
Yeah.
yep, exactly like that.
Right.
He had it, you know, and it was in the ground really, really well. So it's not something that was just sitting on the ground. He had it posted into the ground.
Okay.
Well, the cage had been ripped up and mangled.
Whoa.
And there was no tornado, and there was nothing else was disturbed. What could have done that? A human could not do that.
Right.
Yeah, and my dad did not do that.
Did the dog turn up?
No, dog never turned up. Mm-mm. Never turned up. And now we had a grizzly. Was our dog. He was, you know, part Chow, part German Shepherd. And
Pretty big dog.
Yeah, big dog. He was scared all the time. He would just lay on and he was an outside dog. He would just lay on the back porch and just whine and whimper. And sometimes he would just go up under, and we wouldn't know why.
What?
And, you know, we thought maybe it was because we had moved from the city out to the country. He wasn't used to the sounds, but up until the day he passed away, he was scared, especially at night.
The neighbor's dog, did it bark a lot?
Yeah. Yep.
At night?
At night, all incessantly. And I think that's one of the reasons my dad didn't like that dog.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it was just barking constantly. But yep, it was probably no more, honestly, probably a week and a half after that encounter. I mean, that dog, that was just, you just can't mangle something like that.
Wow.
And now that's the only thing that has happened out there. And I didn't go looking for it after that.
A lot of conclusions could be drawn from that.
I think I know
Those
what happened.
circumstances.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my story.
Jessica, thank you for telling your story.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on our show.
You're welcome.
And I would encourage other ladies like you that have seen something,
Yep.
It's okay to come forward.
It is. It is. So I was nervous, but I'm glad to get it out and let people know it's okay.
We're glad you told it here.
Yep. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
What happened at Gum Swamp Lake didn't unfold in the shadows or under the cover of night. It happened in broad daylight, when a 12-year-old girl should have been safe and carefree and completely unaware of anything lurking in the trees. Yet, decades later, she still remembers every detail. Encounters like that don't fade. They stay with you. They shape you, and they remind us that the unexplained doesn't wait for the darkness. It shows up whenever it wants. If you have a story or an encounter, send it in to us. I'm Rusty Martin, and this is Carolina Case Files.